Hey guys, Jay here. Thanks for checking out this video. So this wasn't planned or anything. This is just something that's come up today at the time of this recording. I had a notification on my phone about from BBC Sport about the divide regarding sprint races, and I'm at the time of this recording. I'm going away tomorrow for over a week. I've got some hospital appointments, and I'm going away for a weekend, which I mentioned in my Imola fantasy team video. So I don't know if I'm going to get a Monaco fantasy team video out in time. So I'm doing this as kind of to cover for that as well. But basically, if I change my tab here, BBC Sport released this article today. I'll put a link in the description. A split on the sprint and too many races F1 Q&A before Imola, and there was a question here from someone called Kevin. The sprint qualifying / races produce more exciting viewing for fans. So why is there so much resistance from teams and drivers for sprint weekends? So I won't go into the details, but it was pretty divided. I'll let you read it in your own time. But my personal thoughts on sprint races is I don't actually like them. I'm not a fan, although they've helped me a little bit in F1 Manager. But I have to balance things out here. So just some personal background. I watched Formula One as a kid with my dad, who was a big Formula One fan. So we watched Damien Hill, Nigel Mansell, and Lewis Hamilton, as well as some others. But those were the three British drivers that I remember watching with my dad. But I was quite naive to the sport. I didn't really fully understand it. I just thought it was whoever had the fastest car. I was kind of more of a football fan when I was really young, and then I got into skateboarding and rollerblading. And then it wasn't until 2018 when I discovered Motorsport Manager 3 on mobile that I really started to get into the sport again and started to have a better understanding as well as an appreciation for it. So pit strategy, car development, tyre wear, developing your drivers. It really taught me a lot about the sport, even though it was a game, the manager game. I super enjoyed it. I didn't finish the last season, which was in the top tier, but like I say, it really showed me just how much more went into Formula One than what I thought. So in 2018, I started watching Formula One again, and I started following McLaren because geographically they would be the nearest team to me, but they're based in Woking. I'm based in London. But also McLaren was the team that Lewis Hamilton was driving for when I remember watching him with my dad. So there's that connection as well. So McLaren kind of basically became my favourite team. And then more recently, played some Formula One games, played F1 Clash, and obviously F1 Manager. F1 Manager 22, I did a full season with Aston Martin at first, and then I got bored and started messing around with a whole bunch of different teams, and actually didn't end up completing the game because I messed around with different teams and unfortunately I got sick. And so F1 Manager 23, which I'm playing recently, I bought it just before Christmas. That's kind of like my first F1 Manager full experience, and I'm doing a mini series on the channel called Philando. It's an Aston Martin fantasy team. If you want to check that out. Just so you know, this video isn't scripted. You could probably tell. But yeah, so for me, I had a big gap of not following Formula One, and it's only now over the last sort of 5-6 years that I've really started taking an interest. So, with that said, my personal take with my ideal Formula One weekend would be something like either practice on Friday, just one practice session, qualifying Saturday, and then Grand Prix Sunday. Again, I'm not a huge fan of sprint races. Partly from a bias standpoint, because up until now I've had to pay for the Now TV Day Pass whenever I want to watch the Formula One. If not, I'll watch the Channel 4 highlights, but don't really get to see a lot, if I'm honest, in the highlights. You miss quite a bit. And the Now TV Day Pass has actually gone up recently to $14.99. But that was the way I've been watching Formula One the last few years. I'd buy a day pass. I went from Channel 4 highlights to watching it on Sky Sports through Now TV. So that meant I could only watch Sundays. I couldn't follow Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that means I miss out on the sprint races. I have to watch the sprint highlights on Channel 4. So from a bias standpoint, I'm against it. But from a competitive standpoint as well, I get it, but I'm still not a fan. I prefer this year's format. I prefer the sprint has its own qualifying, because I don't think it was really fair on the weaker teams that you might do well in the sprint and then all of a sudden you drop back down. If I remember correctly, Kevin Magnussen got can't remember if it was pole or P3 in Brazil in sprint qualifying the other year. I think it was in qualifying, and obviously dropped down the pecking order because obviously Haas wasn't as competitive. So yeah, I think to be honest, I think the sprint races benefit the stronger teams. I don't think it's fair across the board. So as I was saying, Friday practice, Saturday qualifying, Sunday the Grand Prix. If I was to take that a step further, I would do something like either a morning and afternoon practice Friday, qualifying Saturday, again maybe a morning and afternoon split in 2 sessions, and then Grand Prix Sunday. Or I would go a full practice session either Friday or Saturday morning, and then for qualifying, just to spice things up a little bit, rather than have the 3 qualifying rounds we have now, so we have 20 cars, then we have 15 cars, then we have 10 cars, some kind of elimination process where the slowest car is eliminated after X amount of minutes. So whether it be 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whoever's at the bottom of the qualifying laps is eliminated until you get your top 2 basically in your pole position. And then obviously Grand Prix Sunday. So yeah, that's my personal take on it. I get what it says at the bottom about generating revenue, which is why they have the extra day, the Friday. But I think it's too much. I mean, you don't watch. I mean, you can, but it's not common to watch other sports teams practice. Like, you wouldn't watch your favorite football team do a practice session on the TV. You know, I get that they're training like on the actual field, like on the field, X amount of days a week. Whereas in Formula One, you can only practice when you're actually at the actual track. I know you got the simulator, but it's not the same as the actual track. But to me, practice is kind of a write-off as a spectator, because it's practice that they're doing their car setup. They're trying to find what tires are working. They're trying to find what fuel, how much fuel to use, kind of thing. Qualifying is when it starts to take an interest. Like, at least for me, like, qualifying is like, oh right, okay, now who's going to get pole? Who's going to get in the top 10? Also from a F1 fantasy perspective, because obviously I play F1 fantasy, which is like my main content on this channel, and you score points in F1 fantasy through the qualifying, so it's important there. But also important just to see, if cars upgrades have worked and all that. But yeah, like I say, just a short, quick thoughts video, unscripted, just blurting it out what my personal thoughts are on the whole sprint thing. And yeah, I personally am not a fan at the moment. But what about you? Do you like the sprint races? Do you like the format, or would you rather go to the practice qualifying Grand Prix format, or would you like to see more sprint races? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, then give me a like. If you'd like some more of these type of videos, then let me know as well. I can only release 1 video a week, really, just partly because of health reasons and partly because I don't want to get overwhelmed, because I've got another channel that I try and do drawings on for anime drawings, so I try and do that once a week as well. But I also do try and do my videos in advance. So like I say, I'm actually recording this just before I go away next week. So actually in a few days, which would be out now, is part 3 of my Aston Martin F1 manager career with Philando. And then next week, if I've got my timings right, will be part 4, the conclusion of season 2. And after that, we should be back with F1 Fantasy, which I think will be the Canadian Grand Prix. I may have just messed that completely up, but it's just so you know, I do try and do these videos in advance, the ones that I can. Obviously, F1 Fantasy, I have to wait until the actual races happened. But yeah, just to give you kind of an insight on how my channel works, if you've made it this far. Anyway, I'm rambling. Like I say, let me know what you think in the comments about the whole sprint format. Do you like it? Do you not like it? And why? And yeah, and I will talk to you real soon. Thank you for watching.